Hey everybody, welcome back to the first full episode of Rust to Resurrection. Today I'm installing the neck on this spruce body guitar that I've been building, and I want to show you how that's done. But before I can do that, I need to get this bridge installed, because I'm going to need the bridge in order to get the alignment done on the neck. So let me get this last screw in, and then I'll show you how we do it. Alright, so I finished attaching the bridge and I've reinstalled the brass saddles. I'm going to use these two strings to get the neck aligned to the body. I need to make sure that this neck, alright, when it's installed, is on center with the entire guitar, so that the saddles, the neck, and then the slots in the nut allow the strings to be exactly parallel or in line with the nut. So how do I do that? Well, I have these strings that I attached the center section of some Q-tips to. Then I cut the ends of the Q-tips off and then tied those center sections, and then it made a T, so that when I pull the string through, it bottoms out on those T's, and then I can put tension on the string. Now, while I'm doing this, I may have to adjust the neck so that the neck swings enough to get these strings, both of these strings, so that they're both exactly the same distance or close to the same distance from the edge of the neck. So I'll have to relieve these pockets, or this pocket, so that I can then allow that neck to swing to get that alignment so that it's just right. All right. And then once I've got the neck lined up and in line with the strings, then what I'll do is I'll take this C-clamp and I'll C-clamp the neck to the body, so that I can then have access to the ferrules, the bolt ferrules on the back of the body, so that I can mark the location of the holes in the back of the neck. All right. So this is a true bolt-on neck. I'm not going to use wood screws. I'm going to use machine screws. A lot of builders will use wood screws, and in fact the factory, I believe, sometimes some of the factories use wood screws as well. I'm going to use machine screws. In order to do that, I'm going to have to put some brass threaded inserts into the back of the neck, and then I'll be able to screw the machine screws down through the body into the neck itself. All right, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes as well. So the first thing I have to do is get this neck aligned, and in order to do that, I have to, first off, I need to get the back of the neck, the neck seated into the back of the neck pocket. All right, that's my datum. That's the location point that's critical or important, because that's how I get the intonation of the guitar when I'm done and getting it all set up. So getting this neck back against the back of that pocket's really critical. I'm going to use a simple 6-inch bar clamp, or a simple bar clamp, in order to hold this in place while I go through the process. So it doesn't take a lot of pressure to do this, just enough to hold it in place, to hold it back against that shoulder, and then of course hold it in place so that while I'm getting the alignment done or checking the alignment, that the neck doesn't move. So then with the neck temporarily clamped to the body, I'll take my strings. This would be the high E or the bottom E, and I'll bring that from the bridge up through the nut, and I'll stretch that tight, and I'm going to secure that, and then I'll do the same thing with the low E. I'll come up out of the bridge through the nut, and then I'll secure that. So let me get that done, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so now that I've got the neck aligned, I need to mark the back of the neck so that I know where to drill the holes to put those brass inserts into. I've got a really low-tech method for doing that. I have this material that I use when I do stock or gun stock inletting. It's called inletting black, and it's a blackening material. So what I have is a punch that is the same size as the hole, and I've blackened the end of that punch with this inletting black, and I'm simply going to come down through the hole to the bottom and just rotate that, and that'll give me a good mark where the brass insert has to go. So I've done that, and done both the front ones. Now, in order to do the back ones, I am going to have to move the clamp. Unfortunately, there's not enough space between the two ferrules for me to do it. So I'll have to do that and be very careful that I don't move my alignment. Okay, I moved it a little bit, so I'm going to have to recheck this. Okay, so then once again, now that I have access to the back holes, I'll use the same method, using the inletting black. Okay, so I've been using this method for years, and as low tech as it is, it seems to work pretty well. All right, so let me get this apart, and then we'll see how those marks came out. All right. So you can see I've got some really nice marks, and then what I'll do is I'll center punch these here in a minute, and then start drilling holes. Okay, so I got the neck mounted in the vise, and I used this simple square with a bubble level on it to get the neck set up so that it's square or perpendicular to the drill press, to the drill chuck itself. So because I know that my Bridgeport is level in all directions, it's a real simple setup to put the neck in and simply indicate off the flat side, and I know that I'm going to be close enough to get the holes perpendicular to the head of the Bridgeport. We're going to, when we drill this, we need to get the proper RPM for the size of the drill that we're using. In this case, we're using a 228 drill. When you look at most of the charts for drill press speed, they almost all recommend for this size that for hardwood maple that we're down around 750 RPMs. I prefer a little bit higher RPMs. In this case, I'm going to go up around 1150 to 1500. I like the extra RPMs because I feel that it gives a little bit better shearing action when it begins to cut into the maple, and I personally believe that it gives you a better finish. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get the RPMs set up on the drill press head so that we got those RPMs. So I mentioned earlier that I use these brass inserts, and so the brass insert is the goal to get the drill hole set up, so it will fit that brass insert. And again, we're going to use a 228 drill, which seems to be about optimum for a piece of hard maple. So we're going to start out using this center drill, and I'm going to use that to get my alignment to the center punch that I used earlier. So I dimple this on those locations that we marked, and then I'll get the center punch to help me get that alignment, and then I'll drill that with that center punch down until we get into the countersink. And that countersink will then help me to get this drill to stay in alignment as well. And we're never going to move the drill. We're never going to move the table once we've got this alignment, and that'll help make sure that all these different drills and installation tools stay in alignment. When I finish drilling the holes to the proper depth, then I'll take my installation tool and I will screw it into the insert itself. I had this installation tool made for me by a good machinist friend of mine. So getting the insert installed, I'll then put a little bit of butcher's wax on it. Not a lot, but just enough so that I can lubricate the threads, so that when I go down into that hole that I made in the maple, that again it just lubricates it and helps ensure that it goes down easily with less risk of splitting out the wood or the hole. All right, so I'm going to start with the center drill. Get that in, and I'll come down close to the wood itself, and then just start adjusting the table until I've got something that looks like it's pretty close. All right, then I'll start up the Bridgeport and start just touching that hole, and then I can make my final adjustments once I begin to touch the wood on the right, so I'm lined up pretty well. So I'm just going to come down in. Then I'll get up into the counterbore section of the center drill. All right, and that counterbore will help the bevel on the end of the drill to find its own center. All right, so rather than setting up a depth adjustment on the Bridgeport itself, I just wrapped a piece of masking tape around it. I need to be roughly 450 thousandths deep. Because I'm going to bottom out or make this flush with the surface of the back of the neck. In fact, I'll probably go just a little bit below that. The threads themselves will keep this from pulling out or going any deeper. And frankly, I'm going to be close enough that once I begin to bolt the neck down, that it's not going to move anyway. I'm going to be really close to the depth that I need, but the masking tape for this I think is adequate enough. Now I keep clearing the drill because I don't want to overheat the drill or end up clogging the flutes of the drill. I'll then take the installation tool. I've already put a little bit of wax on it. Again, we're going right back up into the drill chuck. Now I'm going to bottom this installation tool up because I don't want it. I want to make sure that as I'm turning it, that I'm actually threading it down into the wood. Now I'm going to start out with just light pressure on the handle, and I can feel it starting to bite in and go deeper into the hole. Now when I get close, I don't want to dent the bottom of this, so I'll just simply let go of the drill chuck. Then I'll use my 1/4-inch drill and then just hand tighten it. And that way I can get a good feel for when it bottoms out. All right. So getting that done, I'll just unscrew it. So there's a little screwdriver slot in those. So if I need to adjust it anymore without the tool, I can simply use a good wide bladed screwdriver and get that done. All right. So I'm going to drill the rest of them, and when I get that, I'm going to use the same method for all of these. So when I get back, we'll install the neck onto the guitar itself. All right, that went really well. So the neck is attached. It hangs by the neck, and it's nice and solid. The fit really looks good. So that's this episode, installing the neck on this spruce-bodied guitar. We got a lot more work to do. We still got to do the wiring and the switching. So I still got quite a bit left to do on the guitar. So if you're interested in seeing more about this guitar, I'm going to post below my Facebook pages for WGR Guitars, which is the name of the guitars that I build. And also I posted some build videos as I was building the guitar. So I'll post those below as well. So the next episode, when we come back, I want to show you some jewelling or engine turning and talk a little bit about the history of jewelling, where it's been used in the automotive and aviation industry. It's used a lot in gunsmithing, custom gunsmithing. So if you like what you've seen, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment, go to my Facebook pages, like and comment there as well. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.